Felix, congratulations. Convincing win. Your thoughts on the match?
Well, yes, good win considering our head-to-head, considering how good he is as a player. And then waking up this morning, I knew I played a great match last time, but you hope he doesn't play too good and that I can execute my game well. But I think it's once I settled into the match and I kind of like got back, it was down 4-2, 4-1, then got back to 4-all. I felt like, okay, I settled in and I felt much better about my chances from that moment on. I felt like I was putting a lot of pressure on him. And then as I won the first set, I felt like I was in control of the match.
Congratulations. Questions? One question each, please. Lucas.
Felix, congrats on the win. I wanted to ask just about your forehand. Both matches you had, a lot of success, a lot of winners with that shot. Just curious what you're seeing with that stroke, and is it more strategy being so aggressive off that shot? What your opponent's giving you? What are you seeing with that shot?
Well, it's always been my strength, right? And then kind of my instinct growing up was to, I'd rather the match to be in my hands. I was never like a kid that was playing and waiting for the mistake. And then sometimes it played against me. I would miss plenty as a kid, and then I had to kind of know how to use it well and to be, precise and consistent. But it's the similar thing now at a higher level. Sometimes I would miss with that shot, and then you start questioning, oh, am I going for too much? But I think what I did well today, for example, at the start, I missed a few, sprayed a few, kind of far. But then I believe that, it's just a question of, time that I'm going to start hitting my targets. And once I did, then it became really difficult for him.
It's Monty.
Felix, great performance. It's been obviously really impressive to see you playing with such confidence. You mentioned on court that, obviously there's been times in the past few years when you didn't have much confidence, injuries and stuff. When was that kind of confidence at its worst, I guess, at its lowest? And what did it feel like? What was it like being in your head, and how did you get out of it?
Well, throughout the years, I still had good moments. Even I was around, 25, 30 in the world. It was not like I was losing all the time, but for sure there was months where, I was thinking, okay, well, what's my approach tactically with my game? Once I got, the physical things, kind of sorted out, it was okay, now I'm healthy again. How am I playing? And then, there were times where I was okay, am I going too aggressive or too far or not? And then, but once that is all clear in my mind and I can, move well and feel confident with my choices, I do feel like there was also times in the past years where I was playing the way I'm playing now with that level. For example, at the start of the year, I was playing well this year or last year at the Olympics or in Madrid when I played him in the finals. So there was other times. The challenge is just to make that as consistent as possible.
You mentioned it earlier about the head-to-heads, both one-sided, Observe and Rublev. Did that play into your mind, and does that ever play into your mind, the head-to-heads that you have against these players?
Not really, because it's different. You can lose, but there's different ways of losing. Obviously, the first times I played these guys, they were a bit older than me, and I was coming in, I was not the better player. So it's kind of okay, I would lose, but I would feel okay, I still just need to improve. And then once I got to a similar level than them, sometimes it was just close matches where one time I lost, he saved match points against me. One time I was up 4-3 with a break in the third set, lost. So he's been tough. With me again this year in Doha, we played 7-6 in the third for him. So we've always had tight matches. So I just know that my level is there with him. I know the ways to win. It's just about doing it and doing it until the end, so he doesn't come back.
Hi Felix, a bit of an off-topic question about this thing of throwing things into the crowd or giving your hat or stuff to people. I don't know if you saw there was an incident earlier in the week when a guy snatched a cap away from a boy. Is that have you ever had things like that when you might throw a towel in and then people start kind of fighting over it? Is that weird for people to be fighting over your sort of sweaty stuff?
Yeah, it's funny sometimes. I mean, I get it because I didn't have an incident like that, but I get it because it happened to me as a kid. So I can tell you a story of how it happened to me actually in Montreal. I was a kid, I was probably 13 and with friends, and I kind of went to grab a a wristband, and then like I got hit in the face, and actually my nose started bleeding. So I was like, my God, like I'm bleeding for wristband. That's crazy. So yeah, after that, I would kind of just stay back and like let the others fight for the sweaty stuff.
Was that another kid or an adult?
Yeah, it was my friends. It was by accident. You know, it was like it was some of my friends. You know,
It can get pretty crazy there, though.
Yeah, it usually doesn't though. Like usually doesn't. I think especially in tennis, like I mean, you rarely see that. I'm not sure the incident you're talking about, but I think it's, you know, people are pretty kind normally, you know, and there's plenty of flares and plenty of wristbands for everyone.
Okay. Willie?
What do you consider the biggest strengths of Alex's game and the biggest challenges for you?
Well, his strengths were always his movement and his like a quality to keep the ball in play and to kind of like, you know, counter, you know, like this, let's say the speed that the other player will play at and to just defend. But what's been very interesting is that he's added also like stepping into the court a lot more, and I think that's why he's in the position he's in today. Like he now has like very much the ability to step in as soon as you give him a chance, you know, and to come early in the court and to punish you. So that's why like his game is even more complete than how it was in the past. And I think every player tries to improve, you know, and we all know in the locker room like the strengths of players and what they need to improve. The question is like, can you improve, right? And he has, so that's why he's been consistently now in the top 10 for a bit of time.
What do you consider the thing you've most improved at?
Well, honestly, playing with my strengths has always been important. The serve, the forehand, so it was about making that more consistent and precise. And, you know, once I do that, then I feel, you know, my best version on the court. And then as well, the return was always something I've wanted to improve. I always felt like I had the reaction time to do it. But it was like, okay, try to be precise with where you put it and try to make as many as possible, because you can engage in rallies as much as possible and on the return games, and then the back end as well, being able to change direction, being able to defend there, kind of keep the guy, you know, further into the court and not play too short. So there's a couple of things, but for sure, like when I serve and hit the forehand the way I do, like that's how I win matches.
Okay, last two. 1, 2. Good.
Felix, talking about your physicality, how would you describe your journey, like some seasons with the tough injuries, and how are you now? What have you done differently? Maybe have you worked with someone specifically that is important to mention?
Yes, I mean, I don't mention my team often, but they do good work, you know, and we brought in a new fitness coach in 2023. Yeah, when I got hurt, new physio as well. And I just feel like, yeah, everybody's more in sync, you know, in my team and better, you know, great communication in terms of like having a protocol of what I need to do to stay in shape, because now I know my body more and I know kind of like the areas where I'm a bit more fragile, so to speak. Like I had a problem with my knee, or I can have problems with my back. So then you kind of like, okay, in your preparation, you're more careful with these areas. And I think I also know myself better, and I know, okay, this is a pain I can play with, and this is maybe a pain where I need to consult and maybe, you know, get better before I step back on the court. But I think at 21, 22, sometimes I would just go out there until the wheels fall off, you know, and then it was like, okay, then you need to stop for a few months and maybe not, you know, the smartest. So I think I'm taking better decisions with my body for sure.
Okay.
Work like yoga or something?
I've always done a bit of everything. I've been very curious to try many things. But no, in terms of what I had, it was more strengthening. And you can see, okay, a player and say, oh, he's strong, but you need to be specific, you know, about the areas where you need to strengthen yourself. So for me, that's more what I needed.
Okay, last question.
Hi, Felix. You said on court that coming back on Ash and winning this match felt really deserved, and that you went through struggles. Could you perhaps elaborate on these struggles? Were they strictly physical or also mental throughout the last years?
They were different struggles, but I think as a player, I mean, it always translates in your results. Like sometimes you can feel good, but if you're not winning, I mean, you have to find ways to get better. So everybody saw, it goes by your results, your ranking. And yeah, it dropped for different reasons, like you mentioned. It could be injuries, could be mental, struggling to win a few key matches, and then your ranking drops a little bit. But why I said on court that it feels better and deserved is because at 21 you feel like a bit like, oh, it just happens kind of naturally, and like you don't question. You feel like you're gonna be in that position like every year, or like you feel like, okay, like, was it that difficult? I don't know, but then you're like, okay, it is difficult, and you need to prepare, and you need to be very, precise with everything you do in your work. And I think I appreciate this position I'm in now to be quarterfinals here again much more than I did a couple years ago.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Felix.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think they're going to do foreign language here. At least that's what I was told.
Thank you.